Good morning. We are going to talk about one of my favorite books, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. The reason why we're going to do this is it's going to relate to all of our videos about character arcs and conflicts or plots that create the character arc. So one of the things that I love about Jane Austen is her plots are so ingrained in who the characters are. And because she's not writing fantasy, she's not writing big blown adventure stories or anything like that. She's basically just writing about people. And I think that's one of the reasons why she's unparalleled as an author, even 250 years later. She knows her characters, she knows the social context and situation that's happening, and she's playing with the expectations of society and how it's created these characters. So I think it's really smart. I think you really get some beautiful psychological depth to it. With Pride and Prejudice, she has basically two arcs that happen. It's the same arc repeated, which is sounds a little bit weird. You have Elizabeth Bennet meeting Mr. Darcy, and it's within the first couple chapters, and they walk into a room, have a meeting, and immediately have a conflict that's born entirely out of who they are and the situation that they find themselves in. And that conflict and who they are and their interaction suddenly creates the social friction of all of the other things that are coming forward in the book. So the cycles are, you have a meeting, you have an instant dislike or emotional reaction to that, and then you have a story told, a proposal, and then a parting. And that gets repeated actually 3 times in the novel. And in different ways, and you have different outcomes based on the characters who are involved, and also the fact that when we had the meeting, we have Elizabeth and Darcy not liking each other at the beginning, right? And Elizabeth stays entrenched, honestly, in that perspective of Darcy for 2/3 of the novel. Whereas Darcy, almost immediately, because he shows up going, I am 100% correct, and I'm going to look for evidence to support this, he starts softening a little bit. His character arc starts immediately. He starts shifting because of his social rubbings with Elizabeth and the social situations they keep finding themselves in. And he decides that he actually does quite admire her. So you suddenly have these two characters, one who's like, well, he hates me and it's fine, and I hate him too, and here are the reasons. And you have this other person who's like, wow, she hung the moon. Huh, this would be amazing, and I'm amazing, and off we go. So there's really only one major conflict that occurs that's outside in. So, no, I'm sorry. I would say two conflicts that are outside in that have nothing to do with Elizabeth or Darcy's actual characters making actual decisions. And both of those one is very early on in the book. We find out that due to the legal system, Elizabeth could be homeless the second her dad is dead. The other one is much later in the book, in the last third, and it's something that I'm trying not to spoil anything, because if you haven't actually engaged this book, I don't want to take it away from you, because it really is a phenomenal story. You have another character who's closely related to them make a decision, and suddenly Darcy and Elizabeth are put in a situation that can completely reverse where they are in their relationship and in their character arc. It can completely destroy all their hopes, all their fears, blah, blah, blah. So that's Pride and Prejudice, and it's amazing. And with these conflicts, one is basically just the low simmering boil of risk, I suppose, and also the context of their society, really, that just kind of like, well, this is the driving force, the driving conflict that makes marriage so important. And then the other one is, it's just a shock, like, to all of the characters involved. And there's, because of the social structure, there's absolutely no way around this. There's none. Like, this is the dead end. This is it. And for both characters, it's devastating. And for the reader reading it for the first time, it's also devastating, because you're just like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? So that's Pride and Prejudice. I'm gonna do a part 2 video and talk about how these guys take the characters and the conflicts, rearrange it a little bit, and show us exactly how beautifully revision can occur. Basically by taking your characters and introducing yes, I feel good. And introducing their conflict at different places, you can create an entirely different genre, an entirely different situation, and an entirely different perspective on your reader. So I'll see you in part 2.